And welcome to the second edition of Biz Buzz with Bruno and our holiday edition. And we're very pleased to bring to you today Four Seasons Theater with the lovely and talented Sarah Marty. Sarah, hi, thanks for coming today.
Hi, Michael. Thanks so much for the invitation.
Absolutely. So, 'tis the season, obviously. And first of all, for people that may not know who or what Four Seasons is, can you give us a little overview about the company?
Sure. We were founded in 2005. And at the time, there were not a lot of theater companies in Madison that were doing musical theater. So when we started the company, we really wanted to focus on musicals and to provide opportunities for folks to be part of musical theater performances throughout the year. And initially, we did four shows a year for 4 seasons. But we quickly realized that's a lot of work, especially when it's, sort of your hobby job on the side. So we kept the moniker because there are 4 seasons in Madison, but have definitely changed the number of shows per season. And we currently predominantly present our shows in the Playhouse at Overture, and then also have a very extensive outreach program that Tamara Boniana runs, which is about 20 to 25 programs in libraries, retirement communities, and adult assisted living facilities as well.
Because you've actually performed in many other spaces besides just the Overture
my goodness.
over the years, right?
Yeah, for many years, we were an anchor tenant in the Wisconsin Union Theater when we did a big summer extravaganza musical with 100 people and a full orchestra and things like that as well. And then we have also done smaller performances like the When the Music Stops, the Anita O'Day Story was at Cafe Coda because it was about a jazz singer. So the jazz club was perfect. So we've definitely experimented, moved around a little bit. But as of right now, we're primarily in the Playhouse.
And coming up, actually opened already.
Opened on Thursday.
You brought back a wonderful show called All Is Calm. Talk to me a little bit about that production.
Well, we were so lucky to find All Is Calm. It was fall 2019, and we had picked a show for our season, but things just weren't quite lining up. And an actor we worked with on many productions, Chaz Ingram, fabulous actor and tenor, he said, "Hey, I'm doing this show in Texas, and you guys should really look at this script. This would be a great fit for 4 seasons." And he sent us a PDF of All Is Calm, The Christmas Truce of 1914. And it's a very unusual show. It's kind of a documentary musical, a docu-musical, if you will, that was created by Peter Rothstein and Eric Lucht and the ensemble Cantus, a men's vocal ensemble out of the Twin Cities, and Peter's theater company, Theater La Teda. And they tell the story of men who hear about the war and go and sign up and volunteer. They think this will be short, it won't last very long, and it takes you through the process of them being recruited and signing up, and then going through training, and then getting on the boat for the first time and leaving the farm, leaving the country, and then hearing the guns and the reality of warfare and trench warfare, and takes us up through the very first Christmas of World War I, 1914, when the soldiers went against orders, put down their weapons, crawled out of their trenches, and spent, in some places one night, in some places multiple nights, exchanging stories, exchanging songs, seeing the humanity of each other regardless of which side they were on for the war. And this beautiful show does all of that through the words and songs of the men who lived the experience. So every word that you hear is from an interview or a letter or some sort of primary source document of the words of men who lived through the truce, which is just beautiful.
Do you know, I'm assuming that none of those men are currently with us anymore, right?
They're not. But one of the really cool parts about working on the show as part of the license agreement is that you have to include in your program a full list of every man who was quoted. So, we not only say their name after each quote in the show, but you can actually see them there and sort of honor their presence and their experience as you're in the audience.
And this is actually the 3rd time around
for
you
to
produce the show, right?
We've made it a holiday tradition. So we've had multiple sold out houses in 2019, and in 2021 we added performances those 2 years. And we just thought we have everyone in the cast is available. They're phenomenally talented. They do a beautiful job telling the story. And the show, I forgot to mention, is acapella. Oh. So it's 11 men singing acapella for 75 minutes. So it takes a high level of skill. The music is absolutely stunning. It's a combination of Christmas carols and popular tunes from the time, but set for a men's choir. So it's pretty stunning. So we thought, let's try it again. Let's see what happens. And we're having a great response. We had really big houses the first 2 nights. We're sold out for the 2 matinees. So it's just really wonderful to have folks in the audience to share the story with.
And is there anybody in this particular cast that's been in either of the first 2 casts?
Almost all of them.
Wow! Oh, that's amazing that they all came back together again.
They did.
That's hard to do.
And it's So there are nine of the folks in this year's cast were in 2019, 2021. So 9 folks. And then Ben was in 2019, couldn't join us last year, but is back this year. And David Olson, who joined us last year when Ben wasn't available, is back. And then Michael, who was with us for the first 2 years, wasn't able to come this year. So everybody's been in the show at least twice, and most of them 3 times. It's kind of like it's almost like a family in a way. And what's really kind of fun is our youngest cast member is Elijah Edwards, who's currently a senior at Vel Phillips Memorial High School. He started as a freshman with us, and he's really kind of grown up with the cast. And it's been really fun to see him evolve as an actor as well. So.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's really, really phenomenal. And I think you actually brought us a clip to show of the show.
I did. I brought a clip from dress rehearsal. So I'm also stage managing. And one of the nice things about stage managing is during Tech Week, you can leave the window open so you can actually hear hear the beautiful sound versus having it through the program mic. So I cheated and took a little video during dress rehearsal earlier this week and brought that along.
Great. Well, let's run the clip, Ben.
But the ceremony that followed was different. We had a most wonderful drunk burial service. Our padre arranged prayers and song. They were read first in English by our padre, then in German by a boy who was studying for the ministry. The Germans formed up on one side, the English on the other, officers standing in front.
Like Q197?
Yes, I think it's a sight was never seen. Second Lieutenant Arthur Pellenburns of the 6th Golden
That is amazing. Those voices of those guys are astonishing. That many, number one, that many talented men on one stage at one time, and to blend like that without an orchestra is pretty phenomenal.
The amount of focus that it takes to be able to sing an a cappella show like this, 75 minutes, no stopping, no intermission. They never get to leave the stage. But I'm so proud of them. And I think, one of the things that Four Seasons prides ourselves in is that we're 100% local. So everybody we have on stage and backstage is from the Madison area. And to have this group of incredible performers dedicate the time it takes to gain this level of mastery on a very difficult score and to allow themselves the vulnerability to trust each other to be able to sing like that for that period of time is pretty amazing. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Randy Swigum, our fabulous music director. Randy's a legend, not only in Wisconsin, but in the Midwest and even nationally as a choral conductor. And we're so lucky that he's been the one who helped us put the show together.
And are there shows that you have a 2-show day?
No.
I was going to say they probably
that would be mean. I wouldn't do that. we did do a 2-show day in 2021 when we added a performance. They did 2:00 and a 6:00. But this time around, I said no added performances. We'll just go with what we have. We added just a show to the run in general. But it was very challenging to do it twice in one day just because of the mental stamina that's needed.
Absolutely. Yeah. And do you have another show in the works and coming after this production?
We are presenting an existing show. So Dasha Kelly Hamilton, who's the Wisconsin Poet Laureate, has a show that she wrote and started a tour just before the pandemic. It's called Making Cake, and it's a conversation about cooking and culture and looks sort of at the history of cakes and who was able to make them and who had the ingredients and who had access and where did those ingredients come from as a launching point for a conversation about race and politics and food. So a really fabulous conversation. She's been trying to get to Madison for a while, and we have a donor who stepped up to help sponsor so we could bring her in for 2 performances, March 10th and 11th in the Playhouse.
That's very cool.
We're very excited. I worked with her in the Wisconsin Public Radio 100th anniversary event, and she's a phenomenal performer, phenomenal talent. And Madison really needs a chance to see this particular performance and this particular story. So it's a little bit out of our normal. It's not a musical. It's a spoken word performance, but we're really excited to work with her.
And that's one thing I love about all the companies, collectively in Madison. It's like you think, okay, this is the company that does this, and then you pull something out of your hat
Completely
like that,
different.
and it's like it's so great because we get to see as an audience things we probably would not come to Madison, or things we would never have brought to us by another company, because the touring companies, number one, can't afford it, and number two, it's expensive to do that.
It's very
and we have the facilities to do that in, but in the companies that take a chance to do things like that. It's really, really amazing. We were talking earlier about how much theater there is in Madison.
It's insane.
It's
incredible for a town. So a million years ago, I was on a City of Madison research committee, and we looked at the amount of arts opportunities for audience members in major markets. So places like St. Paul and Minneapolis. We looked at Austin. We looked at Boise, Idaho, which is actually very robust. And then we looked at Madison, and Madison has more arts opportunities per capita for an audience member than many cities that are 3 or 4 or 5 times bigger than we are. So it's pretty incredible. And in theater, there's over 30 companies in the greater Madison area. And then you add on all the high school programs, you add on all the church programs, all the community organizations. It's a plethora of riches, shall we say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have been wearing at least 12 hats for every production that you're in. But you're actually involved in something that I really would like to talk about that I find fascinating. I think most people don't know about it. So tell us a little bit about that job that you have.
So in addition to sort of keeping things rolling for Four Seasons Theater, I also am a board member for 2 different organizations. I'm on the board for the Overture Center for the Arts, and I'm also on the board for University Opera Props, which is the Friends of University Opera program. It's been around for decades and decades and decades, and it's for folks who love opera and want to provide funding for scholarships for the students in the UW Opera program to be able to participate and gain that valuable performance experience. So it's a really wonderful group, and it was very fun to finally get to see them back on stage last March when they did Sweeney Todd at the Union Theater. So,
and who are the people that are involved in that group? Is it a large group of people that meet regularly, or is it just a couple of people?
The board is relatively small, but they offer social activities throughout the year for people who are supporting the opera program to come together for brunches before the performances. They make sure people get invitations to come to the opera scenes programs, and just try to make sure that folks have an opportunity to see students learning about and performing opera, and that the students have good audiences for all those events. So.
That's great. And we were talking a little bit before about opportunities for students, which is really amazing, because when I first came back into town, and there were some high schools were kind of doing a musical a year, and they were
blown up.
Yeah, and now it's like it's amazing how the high school and even middle school and grade school kids are like doing and embracing, especially musical, but they're doing plays and they're doing other things too. But musical theater has gotten just incredibly popular with high school students now, and you're doing a training for students for visual and for television and film. Is that what you were talking about?
Oh, so I'm the director of the Bowles Center for Arts Administration in the Wisconsin School of Business, and in that program we have courses in entrepreneurship, in business management, in learning how to lead an arts organization, how to work within many different models, volunteer-driven or professional-driven. And in our entrepreneurship classes in particular, we really are working with individual artists to learn how to share what they do with others. So some of that is a little bit related to the things that you do. So media training, so talking about interviewing, the interview process, learning how to build a website, thinking about how do I manage a Zoom call to put myself in the best possible light, literally, right? And just to sort of be more comfortable in more modalities, because that's a new requirement for us all now post-pandemic, that we want to be literate, media literate, as a writer, as someone who might be interviewed on the phone, as someone who might be interviewed or in a conference on Zoom or on video call, and also in person. So,
and are these university classes?
These are university classes for undergraduate and graduate students.
That's real. That's great. Because, like I say, even when I had to switch over to doing everything via Zoom and watching these high school students that were preparing to do a big musical, and then in 2 days it was like, sorry, this has been shut down, and how they were so adaptable to think, okay, we're going to do this in your home, and you're going to bring your own costumes.
It's a big ask, right?
You're going to set up your ring light,
right,
and you're going to put your own makeup on, and you're going to do your little segment, and then somebody else is going to edit it all together, and how they learned skills that these theater kids never really thought they were going to be thrown into, because they were going to get up on stage and
and someone else would take care of those things for them, right?
But they really, some of the things they came up with that I was featuring, I was really proud of these kids because number one, it was some of the seniors. This is their senior musical,
and their senior musical is going to be in their basement.
Yep,
right?
exactly.
Yep,
and rather than
corner.
not do it at all, just shut it down and say, nope, sorry, you're going to graduate not having done it. To at least now they even have a documentary of it.
Well, and they also have transferable skills.
Exactly.
Right. Those are skills they can use for a multitude of other things as they move forward. And I also would say that a huge kudos to the teachers that figured out how to offer those opportunities. That's not easy. Those are not skills. We're not, teaching in person is very different than being a video producer, so to speak. So I think there were so many teachers that found a way for the students to still be able to share and to still create community and to still be able to be connected when they couldn't be in person together. So it was really pretty amazing to see, I think. Yeah.
So getting back to Four Seasons, having gone through what we've all gone through with an absence of the great void of 2 years.
Yes, the great pause. Yep.
So what's on the horizon? What would you like to see Four Seasons bloom into? So
I think we will, of course, maintain our really robust outreach program. It's so important that we bring musical theater to folks who aren't able to come join us in the theater. We really feel that's an important part of giving back in the community and providing that as a community service for folks who love music and love to join together in song and to share that shared experience, that arts experience. So that'll still be a huge part of who we are. And as we look over, the last 15 plus years, as I said earlier, there are so many more folks who are doing musical theater. So why do we matter? If we just do stay straight up regular old show and stick with where we were before, what's the difference? What do you do that's so special than anybody else? So we're really looking at musical theater, but also telling stories through music and song and theater, which is a little bit different than traditional musical theater. I would say that All Is Calm is that second category. And we are commissioning a new piece that I'm not sure when it's going to be ready, but we're commissioning a new piece because we were thinking about that idea of telling stories with primary sources and also with music. So we've got something in the hopper there. And I'm looking at, what might be available that only we could really produce and produce well and feature 100% local cast. So right now there's not a lot that's available that's new because most of those shows that were going to come out are now on tour because of the delay, but we'll kind of see how that shakes out and see where that goes.
And I'm going to ask you this question because it comes up a lot. What's it like having a company that doesn't have a home base, that you don't have a theater that you can rehearse in, store your props in, teach classes in, and then have a whole tech week all to yourself, and being adaptable, so like you say, being in different spaces and having maybe a day, or two, maybe if you're lucky you get
we
three
have
on
a short
stage.
tech, a couple of days.
So what are your thoughts about that in pertaining to Four Seasons?
So I think for us, it's a strength because we're able to book the theater in the space that is most appropriate for the show that we're doing at the time, the project that we're working on. We were partners on the Greatest War Rock and Roll History Show, Wisconsin, World War I, and Why It Still Matters. We worked with that amazing team, put that show together, and we just were production support. But we got to do that show at the Barrymore, which was kind of neat. We'd never been to the Barrymore before, right? We did the jazz show at the Cafe Coda, which was a perfect space and a perfect venue. So I think it gives us flexibility because we're not locked into a contract where we have to be in the same space all the time. On the other hand, we're really lucky to be able to work in the Playhouse. We know that space inside and out. We've been there since 2013. We are very... we love working with the Overture Center staff. We know what to expect when you go in that space, so it's sort of a nice thing as well. The biggest disadvantage, if you can call it that, is that we don't do season tickets because it would be too hard if you're moving between spaces. But in all honesty, I don't have time to manage season tickets anyway, so it's okay.
And the tickets for this particular show are through the box office.
At the Overture Center.
Right?
Yep. So overture.org is the easiest way to get tickets. We are sold out for both matinees, but there are tickets available for this evening's performance and then next week, the 8th, 9th, and 10th, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 7:30.
Great. Is there anything that we haven't covered? Any other projects that you're involved in that I neglected to put in my producer notes?
I think we covered quite a bit. I think we're all good, but thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And like I say, I'm always impressed at the multitude of hats that you wear and do it so effortlessly, which is, as you and I both know, it's not easy doing
It's
this
all smoke
part
and
of it.
mirrors, Michael. You know this. what we do in theater.
That's very, very true. So it's great. All is calm at the Overture in the Playhouse, and tickets are available. At some shows are sold out, but you can still get tickets. And it really is a wonderful show. It's a beautiful, beautiful show, and it'll really get you into the season.
Well, thank you so much,
Great.
Michael.
Oh, well, thank you for coming. I really, really appreciate it. And next up, we're going to have at the Bartel the Pantalorian,
Oh,
their
my goodness.
annual Panto show by Mercury Players and Outcast Productions. So we'll have Steve Knoll coming to talk about that next
Oh,
week.
fantastic. That's
So-
a really fun one. If you've never seen a panto, you need to make sure to get to the Bartel this year and check it out.
Fun for the whole family, hysterically funny, lots of puns, and, and lots of audience interaction. So thank you so much for coming in, Sarah, and have a great holiday.
Thank you. You too.